Hi, this is Difference in Skill here, bringing you another deck profile, and today we have Angel Beats. It's similar to the one that won second place in the most recent WGP. So without further ado, here's the video. First up, the level zeros. We have 3 of the level 0 Yui. That's also a 3.5k beater. Her effect is when you attack, you must reveal the top card, and if you reveal a climax, she loses 3,000 attack. So this is a pretty good 3.5k beater. The downside rarely happens. It sucks when it does, but usually it doesn't go off, so it's pretty good. And the next card, we have 4 of the level 0 Yuri. Her effect is your opponent must front attack this, so they cannot side attack. And her second effect is if she battles with a level 0 or lower, and she goes to reverse, you can reverse the opponent's character as well. So this card is your standard suicide, and it can also force opponent to front attack. So if you have a counter that you want to use, you can see later, there's a really good counter in Angel Beats. You can use her to force your opponent to front attack, and therefore guaranteeing you can get off that counter. Next we run 3 of this Yuri. She's one of the main supporters for this deck. Her effect is she provides a global boost, giving 500 plus 500 to all death traits. Since every character in this deck is a death trait, every character can get the boost. And her second effect is when one of your death characters is reversed, you can choose another character and it gets plus 500. So that's good for some small boosts whenever you might need it. Next card is one of the most broken cards, I would say, in this deck. Is this level 0 Otonashi card. Now his effect is when you play it, you can pay 1 and ditch 1 card from your hand to salvage or get back from the waiting room any death trait character and add it to your hand. So this card is really good, and it gets plus 1,000 when you have activated the effect. So yeah, this card becomes 3.5k, and it lets you get back basically any card. And you can ditch a climax or ditch cards you don't need for cards you do need. And this card is really helpful for getting out another card, which I'll mention later, so I'll put that off to the side. The next card is this level 0 Kanade, which searches your deck. So its effect is when it's reversed, you can pay 1 stock and send it to memory to search your deck for any student council card. And all Kanade cards are student council, so basically you can search for anything. And yes, I'll leave this aside to later show what you can search for. And this is the level 0 Bond Otonashi. In case, for those who don't know, Bond is an effect in this game where it's usually pay 1 stock or you clock top part of your deck to get back a specific card from your waiting room to your hand. So this card bonds for one of the key cards that make this deck so powerful, and I'll mention it as well after, and I'll leave this on the side. And now we have the level 1s. So the level 1s, this card, one of the best cards I would say in the game right now. It's completely broken. First effect is it gives all your death trait characters ditch 1 character encore, so you can encore any character just by ditching a character in your hand. And its second effect is you can tap it to give 1 death trait character 1,000 power. So this card is so good because it gives all your characters survivability. So say you didn't want to counter or something, but you wanted to leave a character on the field, you didn't want to waste stock for counter, so you can just ditch 1 encore. There's lots of uses for it, and yeah, this card is really good. I would run 3 actually, but since I only got 2 due to some issues, so yeah, I'd be running 3 of these cards if I had 3. And this is it's usually what I search out for with this card if I don't have it in my hand in the opening draw, if I don't draw it. So usually I search out this card, or sometimes I get it back with this card too if I trigger it early or it gets into my damage. So yeah, usually that I can search for that with that card. Next up we have the key card in this deck, which is also a level 1. It's level 1 cost Tenshi. Its effect is when you play it, you must reveal the top card, and if that card is not a death trait, you must send it to the waiting room at the beginning of the encore step. So this card is so good because it's level 1 and 1 cost, but it also has 7.5k attack power, which is 500 above the normal. Now 500 might not seem like much, but it's actually really, it makes a really big difference in Weiss. So yeah, and that's what this card bonds for. It's a pay 1 stock bond, and you can get this back from your waiting room. And since this card is so key, I'm going to leave this out to see what you can do with this. The next card, we have 2 of this 1-0 Kanade. Her effect is she gains 1,000 attack on your turn. And her second effect is you can pay 1 to, it's a brainstorm, to pay 1, mill the top 4. And for every climax you mill, you can choose 1 death trait to gain plus 2,000 attack. So this card is a brainstorm. I run 2 because I'm lacking in the support, like I said earlier. If I had a choice, I'd be running 3 of those and only 1 of these, because usually 1 brainstorm is enough. Some people prefer 2, but I'm okay with 1. It's also a it's also like a generic 1-0, 5.5k on your turn, so that's not bad as well. Next card, I have 1, Iwasawa. Her effect is when she is reversed, you can pay 2 and send her to memory, and you can search for your deck for any death trait. Again, this is used to search out key cards such as your support if you didn't get it, or you can search out like level 2s or level 3s to prepare yourself for a later game. Additionally, you don't have to use the effect if you don't want to waste your stock or if you want to conserve your stock. Next is one of the key cards that worked really well with that very high-powered Tenshi. It's your 1-1 event counter. This event counter is when you use it, you choose 1 of your death trait characters, it gets plus 3.5k. So that's really big. That's a really big counter for a 1 cost and 1 stock. It's bigger than the average character counters at level 2. So yeah, you can see with this card, this by itself, it can already get up to 11k, which can take out some level 2s. So like, you can see how this card is like really high power. Next, we have the level 2s. I'll start off with the counter. This is the Sheena counter. This is really good. It counters for 2.5k and has an additional ability. When you use the counter effect, you can pay 2 additional stock, in addition to the 1 stock you have to pay to use it, to shuffle your waiting room back into your deck. So if you started off with your deck refresh and you like trigger 2 climaxes and you're scared of losing because you triggered too many climaxes, you can use this to pay out all your climaxes, shuffle your deck and have a new start. In addition, you don't take deck refresh damage, so if you're at the last few cards and you don't want to take that 1 damage, you can use this to counter 2 and to prevent the damage. Next, we have one of these 2-1 generic 3k counters. This is run because of your it's searchable by the earlier Kanade we had right here. Search right here. Right here. Searchable by this card. So yeah, it's run because it's searchable by that card, and it can be salvaged too. Next up for the grade 2s, level 2, sorry. We have this 2-1 Kanade that can change, and I'll leave that up here to show you what you can change for. Its effect is, the change effect is to be more precise. Just pay 1 at the start of your encore phase, pay 1 and send it to memory, and you can do it at the start of your encore step. So yeah, and it changes out into this card, which I'll go through the level 3s now. That's it for the level 2s. So it changes out to this card. This level 3-2 Kanade, its effect is when it's played from your hand or by change, you can put the top card of your clock to your waiting room. And the second effect is a climax combo where you pay 1 and you can send any of your opponent's level 2 or below characters to stock. So I'll leave this out until the climax combo and I'll explain why that's pretty good later. Next, we have this 3-2 Kanade. Her effect is when you play her from your hand, you can put the top card of your clock to the waiting room. And her second ability is when she reverses a character, you can choose to send it to memory. You can send that card to memory. So this card is useful for those pesky encore characters. If your opponent has encore on his characters and you want to get rid of that character. But be careful not to spam the effect, because if you remove too many of your opponent's characters, he can decompress more and he might lead to higher cancelling rate. And it's also good for the heal. I run one copy of the 3/2 Yui. Her ability is when you play her, you can add 1,000 power and 1,000 soul to all other cards, and she's also not. Your opponent can also not target her with their abilities, so that's pretty good. And her last ability is when you attack. When you attack, you can pay one and ditch one card from your hand. Pay one stock and ditch one card from your hand to send a front row character from your opponent's stage to their hand, and this card gets plus 1,000 power for the turn. So if they have like a bodyguard or something and you can't get rid of it, this is the card to go to. You can get rid of that bodyguard so you don't have to deal with it. So now onto the climaxes. I run 2 copies of the Wind Trigger Climax, which also combos with this card, like I said earlier. So this is Wind Triggers are pretty good, right? Good for like if your opponent has, because change is pretty rampant through the meta right now. So bounce those changes, so then they have to replay them or something, and or bounce their support, so they lose some power. So Wind Triggers are pretty good, and the Climax combo is pretty good for sniping out supports. So you have an easier time dealing with them. Or just if you don't want your opponent to encore their level 2 that's in the front, you can also use the effect to get rid of it for good. Keep in mind though that does give them a stock, so be best not to spam it, and you also have to pay 1 stock yourself. I run 2 copies of this climax. This is a climax that's where when you play it, you draw 1 card, choose 1 character to add 2,000 power and add 1 soul. Well, I just like these climaxes because they don't deplete your hand size when you play it, because it replaces itself because you get to draw a card. And it gives you a slight boost in power, so you can use some of your weaker cards to kill some bigger cards. So yeah, I like these climaxes. And last up we have 4 gate trigger climaxes. These are run almost solely just for the gates. Gates are really powerful in this game. They give you a +1 advantage every time you trigger them, and you can salvage basically any character you want. So you can almost always add useful cards, unless if you're either waiting in Mystery Small or you just refreshed and you triggered it. So usually I love gate climaxes. I run 4 in almost all my decks. So yeah, that's why I run them. And that's about it for this Angel Beats deck profile. Hope you enjoyed it.